Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, February 3rd. We are live here on Coach's Corner with Heck and King. I am producer Scott, getting ready to intro you guys into another great show for you tonight. Before we do so, quick word from the Harbor Group Planned Wealth. If you're nearing retirement, they can help you retire with confidence, especially if you have the big burning questions like specific steps you should take before retiring. When should you draw Social Security? How can you manage investment risk? How much health insurance will cost before you retire, or if you retire? If you're over 62, how much can you earn part-time without affecting your Social Security and or your pension? And then finally, is it really possible to get a raise if you retire? If you want all those questions answered, call Jessica Rhodes, the VP of the Harbor Group, 765-393-1074, or you can email her at Jessica, spelled the normal way, at harborgroup.com. Or you can, if you want to, you can go into the office in Anderson, 12 West 13th Street in Anderson. We have a great show in store for you tonight. As soon as I can get my mouse back on my screen, right after this.
Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now. Just remember what Ron Hecklinski said today. And you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Coach's Corner with Heck and King is sponsored by Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance, Han Funeral Homes, and Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka. For those of you on YouTube, make sure to comment in the chat, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Please and thank you. Now here's Heck and King.
Oh, hang on.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. Big crowd here tonight, fellas.
We get a standing ovation, man, at the Linebacker Lounge in beautiful South Bend, Indiana. What a wonderful day today. 51 degrees.
Oh.
Just a balmy 51. I didn't wear a coat. I just had a hoodie on, and just heading over to school, having a great day, and then coming over here tonight and doing our show from the great Linebacker Lounge with the great Pat King sitting to my right, and to his right, Kenny Peterson, our fact checker extraordinaire. So you can be rest assured whatever we tell you is the freaking truth.
Yes.
Can I one up you already?
Yes, you may.
It was 80 here today.
And Scott's in Texas, man.
And
okay.
The pool was only 55 though, so still a little chilly.
Good for you, but we didn't have to cut the grass, did we, Pat? No. But there's hopefully the weather's going to cooperate, and man, we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff in sports, a lot of crazy stuff happening. But before we get into some of that stuff, I kind of want to put the college football to bed here a little bit, and there's some topics that I want to throw at you guys that came out. To the victors, sometimes go the spoils, because Ohio State now is losing coaches. They've lost their defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, and who says money can't buy me love? Because Penn State threw about $1 million more at him than Ohio State did. They lost their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, who left and is going back to the NFL, the not for long league.
That's a good story in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, he's going to the Raiders, man. He's going to the Raiders.
Pete Carroll, of all people.
Yeah.
It's called the natty tax.
Yeah. And so when you talk about the Raiders now, I mean, for so many years, the Raiders were just tough and nasty and all that other stuff. But then you throw a really good guy, a really good grandpa.
Mm-hmm. You got Pete Carroll's
like Pete Carroll.
I saw him throwing balls. He was running 7-on-7 drills the other day. He was the quarterback.
Yeah, and so he's a highly respectable guy, highly respectable coach, a very, very successful. And then you have Tom Brady involved with the organization also. So I think that's a really good move for Chip Kelly. And then probably the next most important job on a college coaching staff or any coaching staff is the offensive line coach.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that makes it all go. And their offensive line coach, Justin Fry, left and took the offensive line job for the Arizona Cardinals. But here's my question, because I think in the old days, we all would have said, more money in the NFL, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I ain't sure that's the case now.
At least not for the OCs and the DCs,
No.
that's for sure. The coordinators are making some pretty good dollars there at the college level.
Yeah, so hats off to Ohio State, great players, and I'm pretty sure that Coach Day will hire some guys that'll be very, very representative. Speaking of hiring, Notre Dame hired Chris Ash, the DC, the ex-head coach from Rutgers.
Yeah.
And, hopefully his tenure at Notre Dame will be as good as his last DC and Al Golden, right?
Right. And, one of the things I find interesting is the overlap we have now between college and pro, where guys are bouncing back and forth like it's no big deal. You've got pro coaches, just like Chip Kelly has been both places. Most recently at Ohio State, he goes to the pros. You've got some pro coaches that are coming back to college. And I think that's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously from Chip Kelly's standpoint, he's an assistant now. He's not running the show. He's not the head coach. He doesn't have to worry about, hey, coach, I need some Fritos in my meal at lunchtime. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, buy your own Fritos. You're making $3 million. Don't tell me you need Fritos. He's an assistant coach. And so from that standpoint, I think it's really, really good. And so, and like we said before, it was money driven. I'm not sure it is now. Do you?
I think a lot of it's just is jobs. And the offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, a lot of them, depending on the head coach, they have a lot of freedom to do whatever they want. The team is basically, at least half of the team is theirs.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Depending on who the head coach is, it's they have a lot of freedom to make their own decisions. And sometimes the head coach doesn't even know what's going on, and that's just by playing, I'm sure, within the office.
So and then in Nebraska, and this is money. Nebraska's head coach Matt Rule is canceling the spring game.
I just saw that today.
Now the spring game at Nebraska, typically, there's about 60,000 fans.
Last year, 60,000.
Yeah, 60,000 fans. He's canceling that. So 60,000 fans. I don't know what they charge for the spring game. Maybe $10. I don't know, but I know there's a lot of hotels. I know there's a lot of eating establishments. I know there's a lot of ancillary income that is not going to be there for the great people at the University of Nebraska. Now, why is he canceling? He's canceling because he's tired of his players being poached. And last year after the spring game, the word got out, his top 7 players got offered more money by other schools, and he lost his top 7 players.
It is the wild, wild west. And all he's doing, like you said, is basically having a sports combine for anybody, the highest bidder that wants to come in there and take his players.
Yeah.
Because there's an open period right after spring practice where the guys can transfer again. And they might miss the spring game for their new school, but they'll be there for summer workouts and then the fall workouts and the season itself. But so I think that's the first of a few. I bet some other people follow suit. We just don't know who they are.
Well,
yet.
we know Notre Dame does really well in their spring game. We know Michigan does really well in their spring game, and we know Alabama does really well in their spring game.
And I believe I read where Nebraska's spring game last year was actually televised live on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, without question.
So it was right there for everybody.
So it's recruit city. It's recruit city, and it's look at our players. Get an early look at them. Find out from them how much Nebraska's paying them, and then go ahead and up the offer.
Yep, up the ante on them.
And I say this all the time, Pat, and I know, go ahead and smack me. Kenny, smack me.
3 hots
Pete
and a
Bell.
cot.
No, Pete Bell had it right. Just don't hit me in the neck.
Okay, I won't hit you.
Pete Bell had it right when he talked about it's all about money. And that's what this is coming down to. But now it affects the economy at the University of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe,
hotels, maybe restaurants.
All right, so maybe he's doing this on purpose to maybe get some changes to take place. And the first thing I'm thinking about is our new president, how he's throwing all these tariff threats at people. Same thing. And then he turns around when he gets what he wants, he rescinds the tariff and says, "Oh, we're not going to do that."
All right, now I'm Polish.
I'm a history teacher, so
explain to me what the hell that has to do with the spring game being canceled in Maryland.
I think that the spring game still might happen if somewhere the NCAA changes the dates on transfers.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, it is a catch-22.
I know,
because from the standpoint of kids of Steve Angeli. Let's use Steve Angeli for a minute.
Perfect,
of C.J. Carr coming out and having a great spring, and then C.J. Carr being named the starter at Notre Dame for next fall, and then Steve Angeli said, "Okay,
I'm out of here.
All right, I'll get in the portal, and someone will pay me and want me." So I think when you look at the portal in the springtime for that, I think it's great.
Well, I agree,
but I don't know how to tell coaches not to poach players from other teams. I don't know that. I don't know how to do that. Kenny, can you check that fact? How do we do that?
How do we keep them from being poached?
Yeah.
You can't.
I just
can't.
That.
Just can't.
Not in the present situation.
Not in this world. Not in today's world.
While you're talking about that, let's jump to the pros real quick. Look at all we've talked about the college changes. The Lions have lost like 7 of their coaches.
Well, yeah, but that's a product of success. When you're successful, you're successful for a lot of reasons. You got good players, your coaches are phenomenal, and the rule in the NFL is you cannot block an assistant coach from taking a better position with another organization. Now a lateral move, like if you're the defensive line coach for the Lions and you want to take the defensive line job for the Bears, you can block that. But if it's an assistant head coach defensive line position, you can't. Just like Antoine Randall was the receivers coach for Detroit. So in order for Ben Johnson to get him into Chicago, he had to put that title assistant head coach. Now that's a better job, and you can't keep anybody from applying for a better job. But
hey, you know who the Bears' new quarterbacks coach is?
The Bears' new quarterback coach is J.T. Barrett from Ohio State University.
Yeah.
And the Bears' new
college until he was 30.
And the Bears' new running backs coach is Eric Bieniemy.
He throws some one-liners in there, doesn't he?
Good for him.
They got Eric sleeping with the Bieniemy?
Yeah, he's a running back. So we'll talk about that.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
And folks, stay with us because at about 7:10, 7:15, we're going to have the great Kenny Valdesari on live from Chicago on a Zoom, and he's going. Kenny was the PR director for the Bears in the 80s and in the 90s, and Kenny, we'll talk some great Chicago Bears stuff. The last 2 things on college, then we'll move on. Arch Manning, I don't know, played a couple of games because Quinn Ewers was hurt at Texas, right?
Right. Yep.
Now Arch Manning's going to be the starter next year. He's right now the leading vote getter for the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, come on.
No, he's the leading vote getter for the Heisman Trophy. You're the fact checker. Check the shit out.
I think that in the popularity
contest? That's a popularity.
I'm just saying.
There's a guy over here on this campus who I think if he has a great year this next year, he could be a Heisman candidate.
That's just betting odds, isn't it?
Jeremiah Love.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. Yeah, no, that's the betting odds.
But his
what are
name's
the
not
odds?
Manning.
I haven't even looked.
I don't know, but I just read today that Arch Manning is a leader in the clubhouse preseason for the Heisman.
I'll find it. Don't worry.
And you know what I say? Good for Arch.
Good for Arch.
And here's why I say good for Arch. And you as a coach, you'll understand this. He sat for 2 years. He didn't come in. I mean, when I went to college, I went to Coach Wolf in Manchester. I said, Coach, if I ain't starting, I'm departing.
And
let me guess what he said to you. Don't let the door hit you in the backside of the way out.
No, he said you're my starting power forward. Okay, all right. So I don't want to lose you, man. I said, and then when he looked at me kind of crazily in the eyes, I said, Coach, if you don't understand that, let me put it to you another way. If I ain't playing, I ain't staying.
That's funny because when I was at Butler, I sat for 4 years. When the game started, I said, Coach, I'm right down here if you need me.
Yeah, but you sat for 4 years, but at the end of the day, you got a Butler education, man.
That's right.
Ran a lot of good people too.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Arch Manning is plus 800 to win the Heisman right now.
Yeah. But so I do have some respect for Arch Manning because he didn't play the first year. I get that. He's a young kid. But now he's coming in the second year and he's saying, man, in practice, I'm really good. Quinn Ewers is good, but I'm as good as Quinn Ewers. And
you know where start number 1 is going to be?
He stayed.
Yeah, where's
Ohio
their first
State.
game?
At the Horseshoe.
Oh, boy. Well, hey, let me ask
It'll probably be 1 versus 2, which was reminiscent of, I think, 2005 and 2006 when they also did a home and home.
I've got a question.
Go ahead and
for
ask
you.
me.
I've got a question for you that we probably need to get this
away.
What's the story with this freshman quarterback at Wake Forest? What's he going to do?
Yeah, no, he's a new coach came in. Jeremy Hecklinski, new coach came in. He's got to compete. They brought in a quarterback or two in the portal like they all would. He was last year as a freshman. He sat. He redshirted as a freshman. There were 2 senior quarterbacks. They basically told him, "Hey, we love you. You're coming back. You'll have a chance to be number 1." Then that coaching staff leaves. They bring the coaching staff in from Washington State. And he likes Jeremy. He saw the practice tape. There was no game tape, obviously, but he's going to protect himself. So he brings a couple quarterbacks in the portal. And like I said, like I told Jeremy, competition, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there and beat their ass.
Right.
If you're good enough, you beat their ass and you take the job. If you ain't good enough, you don't sit back and cry. You just work and work and work till you get better. And he's a great quarterback, and we'll see how that plays out. But there's also another angle to that, Pat. Money.
Yeah.
It don't matter if he's a starter; he still gets. They all get money, man.
Right. They're paying him to stay there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then the last topic on college football, and this is a sad one. TCU wide receiver Jack Becht got the MVP in the Senior Bowl yesterday. He scores the winning touchdown, or I'm sorry. He wore number 7 in honor of his brother, Tiger Becht, who played for Princeton and who was one of the people killed in the New Orleans truck suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And so he wore his brother Tiger's jersey number 7. And with 7 seconds left in the game, he scored the winning touchdown at the Senior Bowl down in Alabama, I believe.
Down in Mobile.
Or down in Mobile, yep. And was the MVP of that game. So on a sad note, sometimes those tragedies happen, and we just put them on our back burner, and we put them on the back burner, man. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we don't think about them anymore. This time we think about this one.
Yeah, and some of the Notre Dame guys played in that. Kaiser ended up playing some secondary, I saw, because they said they were short of secondary people.
I think Riley Leonard was in that game.
Riley Leonard started at quarterback.
He actually competed a couple passes.
Yeah.
Stop.
I think he was 6 for 6, what I heard early.
Yeah, stop. He completed a couple passes. He played.
Right.
He played in the national championship game for a team that was 14-2. All right.
Competed a handful of passes. Hey, I got a funny comment from Jacob in the chat. He said, "I'm just happy Arch doesn't have the Manning forehead."
That's interesting.
That's very good analysis from Jacob there in the chat.
Jacob, did you see some of the film on NFL Network? Peyton Manning's 13-year-old son was out there throwing passes to people too, and people were just interested in watching the little arm he had at age 13.
Yeah, so why wouldn't he? He's at age 13. He's been probably with the best quarterback gurus, teaching him the fundamentals. Whether it's his dad or whether it's his dad setting him up with somebody or his grandfather or whoever, genetically speaking, he's predisposed for being able to play that position, right?
Right. He's not going to be a point guard, that's for sure.
He's probably been working with David Cutcliffe since he was like 8.
Yeah, no, exactly. So good for him. Let's switch gears. Let's go to the NBA, man.
Do you want to run a quick sponsor break before you transition?
Yes, sir. Right. Go ahead.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. Thoughts in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Is this trade with Luka the worst trade in the history of sports? We'll discuss that momentarily when we come back on Coach's Corner.
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
In times of loss, finding a place that offers comfort, support, and understanding is essential. At Hahn Funeral Home in Mishawaka, they've been helping families honor their loved ones with dignity and respect since 1976. With compassionate professionals who listen to your needs and provide personalized services, Hahn Funeral Home ensures that every detail is taken care of so you can focus on what truly matters. From traditional services to cremation options, Hahn Funeral Home is here to guide you through every step. For more information, visit hahnfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474. Hahn Funeral Home, a family serving families. Looking to hit the road with confidence, Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka has been helping drivers of all ages gain the skills they need for a lifetime of safe driving. With experienced patient instructors, including Pat King, and flexible scheduling, Frick's makes learning to drive easy and stress-free. Whether you're a first-time driver or need a refresher, like heck, Frick's has you covered. Plus, for just $65, Frick's offers the state driving exam in-house. No need to go anywhere else. Visit fricksdrivered.com or call 574-256-0650 to get started today. Thank you again to those great sponsors. Before we get back to the guys, I don't know where the music went. I thought I had the music playing. What the heck?
It is.
Oh, it is? Why can't I hear it? Oh, never mind. Okay, well, as long as it's playing, we're good. The Harbor Group, Planned Wealth, they were helping me before I moved to Texas, so it's good stuff. And I'm nowhere close to retirement, so if you need help with your money management and setting up for retirement, or if you're 40 years from retirement like I am, they will be there for you to be the best advocate they can be to help you grow your money so you can live a stress-free retirement. If you want to get a hold of them, call Jessica Rhodes at 765-393-1074. Email her at jessica@harborgroup.com or visit the website harborgroup.com. With that being said, if I can find my freaking mouse again, here they are.
He's a great producer, isn't he?
Dude, is that a mouse in your pocket or what? I mean, come on.
Attaboy.
Thanks, Scott.
Now, you tell me, Ben, Harbor down there in Anderson, most of what he did early on was talk retired teachers, right? And then he's expanded from that. So when teachers retired, he came in, that's where they sent you to get your retirement set up and at least get some advice, and then you could decide whether you wanted to stay with him or move on someplace else.
Yeah, we are both clients of Ben Harbor, and he does a great job. He's very personable. He explains everything in a very simplified manner. And if you need to have questions about your money, then stop in and get a hold of Ben at theharborgroup.com.
Yeah, between him and Tony Letcher, those are my two main men. That's who's got my insurance for all my Medicare and all that stuff that us old people need.
And imagine they're helping sponsor our show. How about that? Huh?
That's interesting.
That's real interesting. Hey, so the NBA, man, the NBA pulled a stunner. Now, go ahead, give the details of the trade.
It was the middle of the night. That's when a lot of people found out. Well, I was listening to Mitch Richmond.
Hey, you guys are muted. Unmute yourself on the computer. Try that.
How did that happen?
That's all right. You're back.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and give us the details of the trade.
Yeah, I was talking about Mitch Richmond, and his son played for the Maverics, so he was not surprised. But I think he's in the minority because I think the rest of the country was stunned with this trade. And of course, Scott, you know quite a bit about what's going on down there because all you're listening to is the Dallas talk shows, and they definitely have a very strong opinion about what's going on with this trade.
So we talked about the trade. What was the trade, Pat?
Luka Doncic is no longer with the Mavericks, and it's not necessarily a 1-for-1 trade, but it's pretty darn close. So it's Doncic for Anthony Davis is leaving the Lakers, and he's going to the Mavericks. And they've got some other people involved in it, but the two big names were two big stars for the teams. And then you can get into any details you want about why Davis is leaving. What did he do in L.A. to fall out of favor? And what did Luka do in Dallas to fall out of favor to make himself available for a trade?
And I think Anthony Davis is 31 years old. Right. And Anthony Davis gets hurt a lot. Max Christie was another player, a third-year wing player. That's pretty good. He's going to the Mavs also. But I think that when you look at the trade, Anthony Davis, 31. The stunning part is Luka Doncic is only 25.
25.
Right. He's in his prime.
He's 25.
He's been playing pro ball for 10 years.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, people can say, or let's not say people, let's say the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, Nico Harrison, said, hey, I don't like the fact that he's not in shape. He's had some injuries because he has not been in shape. He's not a great defender. Nico Harrison said that Jason Kidd and himself talked that they want to build this championship team in Dallas through defense. And obviously he was inferring that Luka Doncic was not a great defensive player.
Right.
And when you take a look at Anthony Davis, you get, it's a two-way player. He's a great defensive player.
He's a rim protector.
And he's a great scorer. Mm-hmm. He's a great scorer. But there's another aspect in here too, because the Dallas Mavericks drafted Luka Doncic, he would have been eligible for a supermax contract.
Yeah, he was up for an extension, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that supermax contract is 5 years for $345 million. And that's what they would have had to shell out, $345 million.
Do your math on that.
Yeah, but
a lot of money.
But now Luka loses $119,000 because now his contract can only be negotiated at 5 years for $229 million. Mm-hmm. Wow. So Luka, in the end, loses $119,000. $119 million. Dang.
Like Austin Powers there.
Yeah,
$1 billion.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Luka never had a no trade clause.
No,
he didn't have an NTC, and so
I think he's still on his rookie contract, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the Dallas Mavericks could do whatever they wanted to do. Now they had to get the Utah Jazz involved because of contracts and matching salaries and stuff like that. So the Utah Jazz got, by the way, Jalen Hood-Schifino and a 2025 second-round pick from the Clippers and the Mavericks to make contracts even out. Mm-hmm. Remember that name, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Now
it's an IU boy.
Yeah. Now answer this question for me: if you're Jalen Hood-Schifino and you're seeing the cabbage, greenbacks flow the way it is in college basketball now, would Jalen Hood-Schifino would have stayed at Indiana and still made money and came out and been a better player after 3 years at the college level and might have been a first-round pick that was going to play.
He was a one and done. How many years is this? Is year 2 for him or year 3?
This is year 3.
3. So he'd be a senior this year.
He would be a junior this year.
He'd be a junior this year.
He'd be a junior this year
at IU.
And
we wouldn't have to be looking at some of the things we're looking at IU right now.
Well, I'm not sure he would.
Would he have stayed?
Yeah,
he transferred to Illinois or something?
That's a great question. He would
have gone pro. He's making $4.5. He's making $4.5 million a year now.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, let me ask you guys this question. Let me ask you. Yeah, he's making $4.5 million. Okay, he got all the watches he wants.
Sitting on the bench.
He got all the cars he wants. But he loves basketball, right? But there's one thing he ain't got: PT.
He wasn't getting that much clock.
Hey, but you're making that money.
He was going to make a little bit to play.
Yeah, he would have made 1.5 if he had stayed at IU. But what's important for those guys, especially a young guy, a 22-year-old kid?
They want PT
They want
and
to play.
respect.
They want clock.
Yep.
I don't care about. They want clock because they want to say, I got game.
Mm-hmm.
He can say, I got game, but everybody's saying, no, you ain't. We don't ever see you got game.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I don't know if somebody like him would say, yeah, 4.5 mil. Yeah, man, you ought to see my collection of watches. Jeez, you ought to see how many cars I got. But the one thing you love to do is ball.
Absolutely.
And there's only so much time that you get in your prime, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And he's 22. He's not even heading into his prime yet.
Well, and
he'll get a lot more PT with the Jazz, though. They're 11-36, so can't be much worse. He might be their best player.
Well, and
that's bad. That is real bad.
This is a tough year for the Jazz.
Yes.
Well, I remember when I was in Texas 40 years ago.
How many years ago?
A long time ago.
Jeez.
In the 80s, they had a player from
the 80s was 40 years ago.
Yeah, stop it.
It's almost.
I got some bell
almost
bottoms
50
from the
years
80s
ago
at the crib.
They had
bell bottoms.
They had a player that played at IU back then. His name was Steve Alford, and he played for the Mavericks.
I thought you were talking about Uwe Blom.
Well, that was his teammate.
Effingham, Illinois' finest.
That's right.
I think he played for the Mavs too.
He did. Not
Dan Dakich's best friend.
Yeah.
But Alford didn't get much playing time, and he was sitting on the end of the bench. So he would go to the President's Club afterward for workout. He and Mark Farmer from Kentucky, and they would go down there and get their workouts. And the only reason I knew some of this was he was a fraternity brother of my brother Jeff. So they kind of kept track of each other a little bit down there. So anyway, Alford's sitting there playing pickup games, in the afternoon after their morning workout on days off to stay in shape and in case he got traded or whatever it might be, where he could be ready to go. He had to keep himself in shape because it wasn't happening at practice because he did too much standing around.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that. But at the end of the day, I believe Steve Alford got a pension. He got a pension. But here's the story. Here's the great story about Steve Alford. The year that he got let go by the Mavericks, he got let go and nobody else picked him up. The head basketball coach at Manchester College got sick. And this was in October, right before the season started. The president of Manchester College was a wonderful, wonderful person by the name of Bill Robinson. And I was really close with Bill Robinson. And I was coaching at Ball State at the time. And Bill Robinson called me and said, hey, Heck, do you want to take this job? It's open now. The coach got sick. I said, Bill, I can't put my head coach, which was Dick Hunsaker, in the bind because I was recruiting. I had recruits lined up. I said, I can't put him in a bind, not to have me this year.
Right.
But I said, here's what you need to do. Hire an intern. And then in April, when our season's done, and we went to the NCAA that year, by the way, when our season's done, I'll take the job. And Bill Robinson said, okay, Heck, it's a handshake deal.
Right.
I'll hire somebody to do it. And then at the end of the season, it's a handshake deal. You're coming to Manchester. I said, yeah.
Okay.
Who'd he hire?
Steve Alford.
Hired Steve Alford at Manchester College. And Steve Alford just got things rolling like you couldn't believe. A lot of it was his Indiana heritage.
Right.
He just got great young kids to go in. Burt Paddock from Alexandria signed there.
Hupford came in.
Yeah, Brad Kanoy from Lafayette Jeff came in.
Harris.
And they got him rolling. And needless to say, in the springtime, Bill calls me and he says, hey, Heck, remember our handshake deal? I said, Bill, I really don't remember it because I know what you're going to say to me now. And good for Steve Alford. He started that coaching career, and he's done really, really well. But so, answer some questions for me, and maybe we can have some listeners type some answers in here or help me out
off in the chat.
Why did Luka Doncic fall out of favor in Dallas?
Yeah.
Now there's reports, obviously, he couldn't stay in shape. He got up to 260 pounds. Dare I say there was reports that maybe some alcohol consumption? I don't know.
That's a lot.
There could
of
be a
hearsay.
variety of things. Yeah.
I also read where he had a girlfriend that just happened to be the wife of one of the office people.
Oh, okay.
Is this a worse trade than Herschel Walker?
Well, that's a good point.
Herschel Walker, that was a bad one. Minnesota got fleeced to the night on that one.
Or a trade that's kind of coming to the end of its life cycle. Is this worse than Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Deshaun Watson, Luka Doncic is 25 years old, and he's still got 10 years to play in the NBA, and he's still going to be a star, even though he played 22 games this year only because of injury.
Well,
he averaged 28 points a game.
I think the reference is you're getting Anthony Davis. Is he the Herschel Walker?
Right.
Is he the Deshaun Watson part of this?
Yeah, I think Anthony Walker still has years left. Yeah. I really do, and obviously the number of games he was. By playoff time, he was healed up during the season. And this has always bothered me. In the box score did not play CD, coach's decision.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
You never saw that.
Isaiah Thomas, 82 games.
Right.
Oh. There was no taking a game off to heal up. Right. There was none of that.
They played hurt.
So Michael Jordan always said this: people pay great money to buy tickets. They come to watch me play.
Right.
Am I going to take a coach's decision, no play tonight because of that? No.
Or what's worse is when you see these guys that play in one conference. Let's say they play in LA. They go to Indiana to play the Pacers. That's the only time that they're going to be in Indiana all year. And some of these guys take that night off, robbing those people in the Eastern Conference from a chance of seeing them play.
Yeah, and then the amount of money they make.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think bottom line, you're going to see both teams in the playoffs. I think there's 40 games left. Somebody think I read somewhere around 40, give or take a few, but basically 40 games left. They're halfway through. Not the All-Star break's coming up here in a week or two, and we'll see how they both fit in here as the season progresses.
And I know, Pat, you had some thoughts on Luka Doncic and LeBron James not meshing well together. Because they were both ball dominant.
I'm skeptical because Luka Doncic, he is definitely a stat stuffer. And we've seen in the playoffs the last couple of years, he would score 40, 45 points, and they'd still get beat. And everybody would say, well, and the one thing Hardaway mentioned when they were interviewing him, he said his son was tired of getting a pass with 4 seconds left on the shot clock.
Right.
And then acting like it was his fault that they didn't get a good shot because Luka was sitting there playing with the ball for 20 seconds.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when they got beat by 10 and Luka went for 45, would they have got beat by 20 if Luka would have went for 25?
Well, again, right. That's the argument.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the end of it, though, because the trade deadline's not until Thursday. So, I think stuff could happen.
I think Zion Williamson's going to get traded. I think there's going to be more trades.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy Butler's been crying to get out of Miami for a while. Do you think they'll actually get rid of him?
Well, yeah. Golden State wanted to make the trade for Jimmy Buckets, and Jimmy said, go ahead and make the trade. I ain't signing with you next year.
Right.
You can give up anybody you want, but I ain't signing with you because Jimmy Buckets wants to go to Phoenix. And Phoenix is trying to pull that off, but Phoenix's payroll is so high that it's really difficult for them to do that. And you know what? Jimmy Buckets is 35 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure the Jimmy Buckets is the Jimmy Buckets that he used to be. And if I'm some of these GMs, I'm saying, Jimmy, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it right at your last place here. Mm-hmm. You should have went to practice. You should have been on those flights. You should have did it right.
Well, and they know that if he's having trouble with Pat Riley, they're probably figured he might have issues with him here too.
Yeah, if you're having trouble with Pat Riley, you're in trouble, period.
Well, and there's a lot of
Pat
people
Riley runs a really
behind
tight
us.
ship, though. So it'd be pretty easy to get on his bad side if you're not completely compliant with stuff.
You sit there and listen to. Like I say, you sit there and listen to Shaq and Barkley on pregame stuff. They both have opinions, about Pat Riley, and Shaq has some inside ones because he worked for, he played under Pat Riley when he was in Miami.
Right.
Yeah, and so what does Pat Riley do? Hey, Okay, let me open my drawer, and that sound you hear is the clanging of all my championship rings, dude.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get a championship ring, shut the F up and come play over here, okay?
Right. Exactly.
We have the best right now. We have Kenny Valdesari joining us now, and Kenny Valdesari is a South Bend guy, South Bend St. Joe. Went to St. Joe. And our families have a lot in common, as he was my brother Booty's best friend. But Kenny, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm well. How about you, Ronnie? Nice.
Yeah, you know what? I'm talking about Jimmy Buckets, and I'm saying, who the hell does Jimmy Buckets think he is now, right?
Well, I have my own opinion about some of these NBA players. They're all divas, or most of them anyhow.
Prima donnas, yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking, and by the way, this is Pat King to my right, just a great basketball coach at Adams for a long time, and Kenny Peterson, our professional fact checker here, is to Pat's right, but so Kenny was one of my brother Booty's best friends. Graduated from Notre Dame, right, Kenny?
I did. Yep. I was.
And Kenny's dad, Roger Valdesari, the longtime SID,
the legendary
legendary Roger Valdesari, man.
Thiesman to Theismann.
Yeah. So talk about Kenny. Talk about going to Notre Dame, getting your degree, and then the stops you had before you got to the Chi-Town Bears, man, and how you got to Chi-Town.
Well, I graduated in 1980 from Notre Dame. Of course, went to high school with Booty. Booty had many best friends. I happen to be fortunate to be one of many. He was a legend amongst all of us, and we miss him dearly. South Bend roots, and went to Notre Dame, graduated in 80. I was fortunate to get one of 2 internships in Major League Baseball after my graduation, which took me to New York. So my first job out of college was at the Major League Baseball Commissioner's office working for Bowie Kuhn. And I worked in, the PR area, as well as labor relations, the promotions area. It was a internship designed to get me experience in as many offices as possible, with the idea of placing me with one of the 30 major league teams. So when Eddie Einhorn and Jerry Reinsdorf took over ownership from Bill Veeck, I was hired as assistant public relations director, and was one of Tony La Russa's first PR guys. So that might age me a bit, but Tony was just getting his teeth cut. And I was part of the winning ugly team in 1983, in which they won the American League Western Division with a 99-63 record. Had a great pitching staff: Lamar Hoyt, Richard Dotson, Ross Baumgartner, Britt Burns, Greg Luzinski was part of that team. Tom Petrura.
That wasn't Blackjack McDowell, was it?
No, Jack wasn't there yet. But Ron Kittle was. Ron LaFleur was our leadoff guy. So baseball was, that was my passion. I loved baseball. Never got that satisfied at Notre Dame, at least my passion and fandom for it. So I got into baseball, and, it was a grind. I mean, it was traveling on the road with a team for 81 road games, and coming home from 10-game homestands, and never having time to do my laundry or make my bed, for that matter. So it was a grind. And fortunately, I was in the right place at the right time when the Bears public relations job opened. I got hired in 1984. This was Mike Ditka's second year. And that first year of my tenure, we went to the division title game, the NFC title game in San Francisco. We got our butts whipped 23-0. Joe Montana was the quarterback. And the 49ers said, the next time you come, bring a quarterback. Jim McMahon was hurt. Steve Fuller was the backup. And, our defense was pretty stout. But we got whipped. So the next year on the way back from that game. I know that there was a intensity, at least a mindset to get back to that game, and the rest is sort of history. We went 15-1 regular season, swept the playoffs, only gave up 10 points, won the Super Bowl 46-10. And, it was a magic carpet ride for me. I was 26 years old, and part of the Super Bowl shuffle, I was the coordinating producer for that, and just launched a career that was pretty momentous for me at that age. So I did the PR thing for 5 years and then was promoted to VP of Marketing and Broadcasting in 1989. I was the first full-time marketing executive for the team. And, we did that primarily because the team was leaving a lot of money on the table. There were a lot of folks that were taking advantage of our rights, our trademarks, and everybody was making money off the Bears but the Bears. So I engineered basically taking everything in-house, everything from radio to television to our events such as luncheons and so forth. And we were able to maximize some of that profit from utilizing all those assets and making a name in Chicago, at least from a marketing standpoint and a revenue standpoint. We did pretty well. So
go ahead, ask your question.
I was going to ask you, on that 83 White Sox team, Jimmy Leland was on that staff.
Yes, he was. He was the third base coach.
Yes, and you also had the chance to work with the guy by the name of Glenn Rosenbaum from
sure.
Fort County. Glenn's a legend.
Glenn's a good man. He's lives in the region, I want to say. Michigan City or somewhere in that area. Yep, that's right.
Hey, let me ask you this question. Was Jimmy Leland smoking 2 packs in the dugout by then?
Yes, he was. Yeah. And Dave Duncan was our pitching coach.
Oh, yeah, Dave Duncan.
Dave Duncan was the pitching coach. Dave Nelson was our first base coach. So it was a good staff. And Tony, was a heck of a manager, as you know. He's a Hall of Famer. And, while he didn't reach the pinnacle with the White Sox, he certainly did with the A's and the St. Louis Cardinals. So it was great working with Tony.
Hey, let me, so before we go any further, I got to ask you, talk about the loss of Miami in 1985 when Buddy and Ditka went at each other because Buddy had Wilbur Marshall or somebody guarding a wide receiver in the 46.
That's exactly right, Ronnie.
Talk about that.
So we were 12. The Bears were 12-0 at the time, and living a little on their high horse, and went into Miami. Temperatures were a little, they were much warmer than the Bears were accustomed to. So I think we got a little gas in the first quarter, got behind, as you recall. A pass from Dan Marino to Mark Duper ricocheted off of Dan Hampton's helmet for a touchdown. On the defense, I think we went into halftime down 24-10, maybe. It was something of that sort. And then Buddy was blitzing a lot, trying to get to Marino, and he had Wilbur on Mark Duper, or maybe it was Clayton, and he and Ditka got into it at halftime. So the tempers had to be settled a bit. They had to be separated, to be honest with you. But it wasn't, it was all in the heat of competition. As it was well publicized, those two weren't the best of friends, and Mike did not hire Buddy. He was inherited, of course, from George Halas. So, that straightened the team out, quite frankly. We ran the table thereafter, won 6 in a row to win the Super Bowl. And so, the silver lining was that the team got straightened out, and, that was one of the most dominant defenses I've ever seen play in the NFL. And I think the Associated Press voted them as such later years on. But it was a magical ride. I was just fortunate to be in the middle of it all.
So So as the PR director, then you kind of had to put out this fire, if it even was a fire, because after the game, Walter Payton went and hid in a closet because he was upset that he didn't get to score a touchdown. The fridge got to score a touchdown, and it became a story in itself.
It did.
How did that unfold with you?
It did. I mean, you have the details pretty on point here, Ron.
I'm a Bear guy, man. Come on.
Yeah, you watched closely, obviously. But if you'll recall, Walter had 13 carries for 63 yards. He fumbled in the first series, and from there it was downhill for him. I mean, they keyed on that was their game plan defensively. They were going to stop Walter from running and getting to 100 yards, because the record for the Bears when he achieved 100 yards was, I think, somewhere in the 91 or 92% win rate. So they thought that if they could stop Walter and play man on our receivers, Willie Galt and Dennis McKinnon, that they could, beat us, even though we had beaten them earlier in the year in the second game of the season at Soldier Field. But getting to your point, so Walter did not get the ball down by the goal line on 3 occasions, 2 of which were brought in for touchdowns by quarterback sneaks by Jim McMahon, and the other one I speak of was of course by William Refrigerated Perry. And so after the game, it was somewhat chaotic because everyone was in jubilation, high-fiving each other, hugging each other, and Walter wasn't to be found. So when I got a request from Bob Costas that we needed to get him on the post-game show, I had to go around the locker room looking for him. And lo and behold, someone told me that he was in this broom closet. So I had to talk reason with him. It wasn't easy. He said something to the effect that I'm no puppet, although he used a little bit more spicy words than that. And it involved the intervention of my superior, who at the time was Bill McGrain. He was the assistant to the general manager, and we coerced Walter into going on the post game. And when it was all said and done, I think cooler heads prevailed. But in retrospect, it was something Mike Ditka regretted for the rest of his coaching career, was that he did not give Walter the opportunity to score down in that red zone area.
Yeah, because Walter, during the course of his career, took so many hits for so many bad Bear teams, and when their team was hopelessly bad, he would. I mean, Walter wouldn't go down. He was just a freaking warrior. And,
incredible. They don't make him like him.
And then in his time, just to maybe shine. And Walter didn't need to shine. Walter shined every freaking day of his life.
Absolutely.
But during that time, to say, hey, Walt, let's get you one here.
Yeah. And that was the sentiment. That was definitely the sentiment. I think Mike got caught up in the adrenaline of the game and the situations. And again, they were keying on him. So when Walter was lined up in the backfield in that 1st and goal and 2nd and 3rd, 2nd and 3 at the goal, they were ready for him. But Ed Hughes and Mike thought, and Ed Hughes was the offensive coordinator, thought that it'd be easier to get into the end zone if we fake a pitch to Walter, let Jim keep it for the dive, and in the last instance, give it to the fridge, that it'd be an easier way to get into the end zone and put the game away. So, it was what it was. I mean, that's what basically occurred.
Kenny, I was going to ask you, you've been in the business a long time, and obviously your dad, the legendary sports information director, how much did growing up in your dad's home, being around him, being around what he did all those years, influenced you into becoming part of the media?
Yeah, it did quite quite dramatically. I mean, I went to every basketball game, every football game. In the football instance, I'd sit up in the press box. I would hand out stats to the media. One of my first jobs as a kid was spotting and keeping stats for Paul Hornung and Lindsey Nelson.
The Sunday morning replay, yes.
Sunday morning replays. I did that for 4 or 5 years.
Did you have to say at any point to Lindsey? Did you have to say at any point to Lindsey, I'm moving to further action in the same series of downs?
Yeah. So I did that. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I just thought, hey, this was to be what I wanted to pursue. And it's not like any other situation. You see a lot of that, whether it's a coach, it's the Heklinski family and the kids or the nephews playing football themselves and so on. I mean, it's the Shulas. It's somewhat similar and akin to what I did growing up around the sport. I was a ball boy at the 1971 Kansas City Chiefs training camp when my dad spent 1 year in the NFL. So yeah, being around, a team atmosphere was always something that I aspired to do myself. And the entry point for me was in public relations because it was, an interactive people person type of networking situation where you could get to know people, whether it be a network producer who would come in and do a national game for Notre Dame or, keeping stats for Paul Hornung and Lindsey Nelson. So I networked myself well. I wrote a lot of thank you letters for meeting people, and I just tried to stay in touch with the right connections to, grow in the business.
What was it like working with Lindsey? What kind of a guy was Lindsey Nelson?
Oh, he was, as his suits often displayed, he was a very colorful guy, very studious. He was very well prepared for every game. And, they did that for years, and it really became a hallmark of making Notre Dame such a national team, being able to see those replays on Sundays. So Lindsey was a colorful character and a heck of a broadcaster. As you may recall, he also did the New York Mets play-by-play at the same time. So, I got to meet him and work with him for, the years I was so young, and got to meet a lot of people who went on to become famous in their own right. So I was just a straggler. I was just one guy. I was just following in the footsteps of being a glorified fan, if you will, but got to work in some of those capacities while doing so.
That's great. Hey, Ken, I got a question from one of our listeners. He says, what was one of Walter Payton's best practical jokes, and was it at your expense?
Well, it's funny you asked that. If I can display this on my wall, I'll do my best. This is one of what Walter loved to do to Matt Suey. And this happened, if you can see this clearly, he's lined up behind Matt. We're in practice and training camp, and he's pulling down Matt's pants, okay, showing his buttocks, and I'm standing right behind him trying to get Matt to put his pants back on. So that was one of Walter's trademarks. The other one was when you would shake his hand, he would make you bow. He had the hardest, most firmest handshake by purpose, simply by his mere strength, that it made you bow to your knees. And it was excruciating. He would crunch your knuckles together like no other. He was a practical joker and loved to mess around with the guys in the locker room, but he was a people magnet at the same time. People just loved him. Loved to be around him. And, he was a moody guy, as Ronnie, you probably will recall. But, just a pleasure to be around.
Yeah, so I don't know if you, and I'm pretty sure you know this, that Walter Payton and I have the same exact liver disease, primary sclerosing cholangitis, and I got really lucky and fortunate that I was able to get a liver transplant. And one of the things with primary sclerosing cholangitis is the longer you go with it, the higher the threat of bile duct cancer. And I always thought that if Walter Payton would have been able to extend that and get that transplant,
Sooner.
that he would have been such a great spokesman for donors.
Yes, and I
so
noticed that
so
you have devoted a lot of your time to donor charity work over the course of your career, which is great. And how many years has it been?
It's going to be 29 years.
Unbelievable.
So,
God bless you.
Yeah,
That's
that's a lot of years for a liver transplant. So, and my doctor's still in Chicago.
That is awesome.
I tried to reach out to Walter and his camp because my doctor was in Chicago. My doctor was just a renowned hepatologist, but Walter and his camp were entrenched at the University of Chicago and did not want to, do a second opinion, did not want to do anything. And he, and rightfully so, he believed in his doctors.
Yep.
But I know that if he would have, I wish that he would have got to that point to where he would have held on for a transplant because, like we said, he would have been the spokesman, and it was so sad to see his decline, and then from my standpoint to know exactly every step of the way what he was going through, because before I got my transplant, I went through every step of the thing the same way.
Sure, you could have been a good counsel to him.
And by that time, I tried to reach out to his people, his secretary, but at that time his disease had progressed really far, and he was done taking calls or taking visitors or anything like that. Did you get a chance? Did you get a chance to see him, near the end?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, after his retirement, he kind of was uncertain as to what he wanted to do. He failed in his attempt to get an NFL franchise in St. Louis. He then got into car racing. I actually brought him back to the team in 1996 or 7 to do the color on our preseason broadcasts, which we brought in-house. So we produced those games. I had him handle a color, and I noticed at that time that he had gotten very thin. He developed an acne underneath his neck that was really strange to me,
which is all symptomatic.
Of course,
primary sclerosing cholangitis.
And then it accelerated, Ronnie. In the third year that we had him in our broadcasts. And then in 1999, it had digressed so fast that he just did not have a chance to, get that liver transplant. So, at 45 years old, man, for a guy that had such an impact on people and was such a contributor to society and someone that was very charitable towards many charities, it was a shame to see him go so young.
Hey, so here's a story, and I'm sure you've heard 100 of these, but Hughes was the OC, Mike Ditka, the head coach, made so much money. Hughes, the OC, made so much money. They called the play, they signaled it down. Jim McMahon, who ain't making any of their money, gets the play in. He don't like the play. He looks at Ditka on the sideline, gives him the finger, and calls what he wants to call, man.
Happened many times, without a doubt. Happened many times. And you know what? That was an instinct Jim just had, as, any field general does. I mean, sometimes, you get the sense of where a blitz is coming or where you see a weak spot in the defensive line. And, Jim just had that instinct. And, that was one of the dynamics of that relationship that was so sort of exciting, yet at the same time very controversial and conflicting.
Yeah.
But Jim was a hell of a player. If he could have stayed healthy, we would have won another Super Bowl that following year, when the defense was even stronger after Buddy Ryan left, at least statistically. And we lost, the divisional game against the Redskins when Doug Flutie was the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, best Mike Ditka story. Give me one of your Mike Ditkas, man.
Well, my favorite personal story with Mike was when we got to the NFC title game in San Francisco in 1984, the year before we won the Super Bowl. And he and I had to go. We were in Santa Rosa, California, and he and I had to take a limo to go and to attend the NFC press conference, a national press conference with hordes of media. Well, unbeknownst to me, Mike loads up a cooler with 6 bottles of Dom Perignon. And we proceeded, at least he, for the most part, I imbibed a little bit, but by the time he got there, he was 3 sheets to the wind. But he won the media over unbelievably. He was a hit. If you go back and look at any of those press conferences, that's the time when Mike kind of really broke through as a media star. And it was just a fabulous time. And, there's many Mike Ditka stories. That's just one personal one I have that comes off the top of my head. But it was a memorable one. We'll just say that.
He's back in Chicago now.
Yeah, Mike, he's not doing very well. I quite frankly, like Steve McMichael, another sad story, as you may have read about.
Mongo.
I'm actually, God bless both of their souls. I'm actually surprised both of them are still with us. Mike is 85. He moved back here from Naples about 3-4 months ago. I saw him 6 months ago. And, he was fluid and could talk. And I went with Larry Wirt, used to be the head of Channel 5 or NBC here. And Mike was, very cordial, very friendly. We had quite a few laughs, reminiscing. But, he's deteriorated like any 85-year-old. I mean, I'd sign that contract right now. But Mike's not doing well, and either is Steve. So we hope and pray that they have a peaceful departure from this world, and they both lived life to the fullest. That's for sure.
Kenny, I got to ask, what was it like during Refrigerator Mania? Because, once the refrigerator took off, he runs the ball at the end of the game against San Francisco. He scores the touchdown on Monday Night Football, becomes this larger-than-life celebrity that ends up actually in a WrestleMania in Chicago.
Yeah. So that took on a life of its own. Incredibly, the game you mentioned against San Francisco was a get back from Guy McIntyre running the ball the previous year.
That's right.
When Bill Walsh inserted him into the lineup, and then when he got the ball against Green Bay on the Monday night game, all hell broke loose. My phone buzzed off the hook next morning from every network trying to get him on, their morning show or the David Letterman show or you name it. So there was a demand for him that was unprecedented. And then he did the Coke commercial. He did a McDonald's commercial. All hell broke loose. And that was the one thing about Mike is Mike just let the guys be the guys. He didn't put any cap on it because, Mike was Mr. Endorsement himself. So, it was just a magical year in a way that really put the Bears on the map and kind of flourished NFL team marketing to its next level, which was instrumental in us naming our first full-time marketing executive, quite frankly. So it was just a, iconic time. I was fortunate to be, again, in the middle of it.
Let me ask you what you mentioned earlier about the Super Bowl Shuffle, which is something everybody has seen. Now remind me, what was your part in that?
That happened coincidentally. That was all put together right after we lost to Miami. So we get back on the flight at 3 a.m, and this had already been pre-planned. Willie Galt.
Yeah, you didn't know this?
No.
Oh,
Willie Galt was the we'll call him the maestro and at the center of this, working with a director named Dick Myers, who was with Red Label Records. They had set up a studio at Park West, which is in Lincoln Park here. Ronnie, you're probably familiar with that area.
Yep.
And so the players get back. They're supposed to be at the Park West at 9 a.m. I was tasked with helping write the words, put them in type, and the script, and then getting the uniforms cleaned by our equipment manager, Tony Medlin, and then bringing them down to the Park West in time for that shoot to be completed. Well, Walter didn't make it, and McMahon didn't make it. No surprise. So we then had to retrofit them in and insert them after that pre-recording was done. We had McMahon and Walter come into the racquetball court at Hallis Hall 2 weeks later to complete their portion of it. And with post editing, that part was inserted into the video. So it was played at the Super Bowl when we were up 46-10. So it again, another, once in a lifetime kind of thing that just happened, and my involvement was a little peripheral, but I was integrally involved with the writing, helping write the script, and also with the coordination of uniforms and getting the racquetball portion of it done with McMahon and Peyton.
So you get beat, and these guys are there the next day doing this video?
The next morning, yes.
Oh, how much sleep did they get?
It was tough getting them all there.
Oh,
I know a few were late. And a couple did not show. So, and of course, they don't have to be in on Mondays, except for later in the day. On a Monday night game, you don't have to come in till Wednesday. So there was no team obligation until Wednesday team meeting. And then, of course, with a short week, you get the game plan, and then you don't get to start practice to that game plan until Thursday on a short week. So
did Ditka know that was taking place?
He did not. He had no clue. No clue. Our GM, our general manager didn't know. I didn't know about it until the plane ride on the way back. Willie Galt comes to me and says, I need you to get the uniforms down to the Park West. So it again happened and the NFL gave us shit like no other about it all after it all was said and done.
Really?
Because you had to run everything by them for trademark and uniform usage. So there was some uncomfortable conversations that took place.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it has withstood the test of time. Unbelievably.
Absolutely. Indeed.
Unbelievably. So I say, and Booty and I had conversations about this. I say the beginning of the end was when they let Wilbur Marshall go. Do you have any thoughts?
You're right on. You're absolutely right. Wilbur Marshall was the first $6 million man in the NFL. He signed with the Washington Redskins. Wilbur Marshall was the most fiercest player on defense out of anybody in the league at the time. And when we lost him, it was a huge loss. It caused consternation in the locker room because the Bears were the players.
Yeah, they were cheap. They wouldn't pay him.
They wouldn't pay him. Willie was next. And then they just trickled down, we lost a lot of those core players from the 85 team as years went on, but the 87 season was a strike year, and that really caused a chasm between coach and some of the players. That's when, coincidentally, Sean Payton became a
Scab quarterback.
Scab quarterback, along with
Yeah.
Hohensee, the other quarterback.
Yeah, from Eastern Illinois, man.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Yeah, so when the end came for Mike Ditko, were you with the Bears then also?
I was. Yes, I was. And that was a tough deal.
Yeah, that had to be a tough deal, both from
tough.
a relationship standpoint that you had and then the
Yeah.
iconic nature by who he was. I mean, did he just get too big for the franchise? Or what?
There's no question. I think that was definitely at the heart of it. He became too big, and there was that chasm that formed between some of the players in the locker room, and then when he said that we were 6-2, I want to say, and he said we wouldn't win another game, and sure enough, we went 6-10. That was the cutting moment. And in 1990, what was it, 91 or 2, I believe, they brought in Dave Wanstedt from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of lean years in those 90s.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It was tough.
Exactly. But you had so much to lean on and so many great memories.
No question.
Of that whole time period, right?
Yeah. It was something else. I was very fortunate to be part of it.
Yeah, so I gotta tell you something, and our families, our families knew each other. You were really close to our family, and you remember my sister Claudia.
Sure do.
So Claudia, when Booty or I would bring either a girl or a guy home or whatever, she would run to the living room and she would bring an autograph book, and she would make all Booty's friends, all my friends, all my chicks. She would make them sign this autograph book. And I don't know, a couple years ago, I find these autograph books, and I can't tell you how many times in both the books you signed and gave messages. Oh, sweet Claudia, hope everything is great. You signed that book for her like 5 or 6
I'll never forget
man.
Claudia. She was special gal.
Yeah, and she would, and you would always say, "Hey, Claudia, Kenny, hope all is well." Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I should have sold that autograph when you were big time with the Bears, man.
Oh, stop it! Oh, I remember Claudia well. She always greeted me with a big hug.
Yeah,
and
she did.
Booty used to tell me she had a crush on me, but she probably had a crush on a lot of people. But she was one of my favorites.
Yeah, so. And I don't know if you guys know my sister, but my sister, she was mentally handicapped, and she was awesome. The one question that all of us were close with her. All of our friends were close with Claudia, but the one that would always get me was she would always look at me and she would bring tears to me because she would always say, Ronnie, when am I going to get married someday?
Oh.
And she would always, the tears would come, and I said, Claudia, I said, listen. I said, me and Booty, I've been searching for a couple of years now, and once we find the right guy we think is great for you, you're gonna get hooked up. Don't worry. But me and Booty are looking every day, man.
God bless her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to spend a couple minutes with our podcast here.
My pleasure.
Your stories are amazing. Your time with the White Sox. Your time with the Bears was just now. Are you doing any PR work right now with any teams or anything?
I'm doing some consulting and working with Dennis Rodman's agent and Bill Smith, the photographer for the Bulls, who's a 50-year photographer. And we've got some projects we're working on with photography. And because Bill is a iconic photographer, he sold his Jordan collection for, we'll say, quite a bit of money to Rodman's agent. So we've tried to monetize that for the agent, Dwight Manley, and made a couple trips to Southeast Asia because there's a huge fandom over in Tokyo and Hong Kong. And yeah, I'm doing that, and I've got some other things I'm doing on a consultancy basis. For the most part, I'm helping my wife in her very successful real estate business. So I'm very fortunate, Ronnie. I'm turning 67 in 2 weeks, and semi-retired.
Yeah, hey, I'm the big 69, man.
Oh,
You're
wow.
69 only one time in your life, man. You got to enjoy being 69.
Absolutely. God bless you.
Hey,
You
hey
look
listen,
great.
man.
You look
Hey,
great.
Hey, thanks so much, Kenny, and God love you, man. And
You too.
we'll get you down the road somewhere, man.
Absolutely. If you ever need any help with a guest, let me know.
All right,
Thanks,
man. You're the
Kenny.
best, Kenny. Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
That is a great Kenny Baldessari. And back in the day, when the Bears were rolling and all that, he took care of all of us. We all had tickets. He took care of all of us. Hey, why don't you take us out to break, Scott, and then we'll come back. We'll do some high school stuff. We'll do a little college stuff, and we'll finish this up, man.
Sounds good.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you want a place that offers more than just services. You want care, understanding, and support. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka has been helping families honor their loved ones with respect and compassion since 1976. Their team of caring professionals takes the time to understand your needs and offer personalized solutions that reflect the life and wishes of your loved one. From traditional funeral services to cremation options, Han Funeral Homes is here to guide you through this difficult time with grace. For more information, visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Looking to get your driver's license? Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka makes it easy with the Indiana State Driving Exam in-house for just $65. No formal driver's education is required. If you're 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held an Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you're eligible. Frick's provides the vehicle. Just bring a ride to and from the office. The exam takes only about 20 minutes, and you can walk out with your official Indiana driver's license, which we call it an operator's license. To schedule, call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, we are back with one more segment of Coach's Corner. One final shout out to our people at the Harbor Group.
Yes.
To get you settled up with your money, get your money right. Don't be pocket watching. I don't know. I think that's what the kids say. But if you want to get your money right, get the Harbor Group a call at 765-393-1074 or visit them online at Harbor, HARBER group.com. And now, one final segment. Here is Heck and King and Kenny.
We are back. We are going to try to shift gears from reminiscing to some college basketball.
There's a great song, I think, by, I don't know if it's CCR. It's called Reminiscing, man.
That's the Little River Band.
The Little River. That's our fact checker right there.
It's great.
Kenny.
It's a great song.
Just ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just ask.
We've actually heard of. I've actually heard him play in concert.
Yes, the Little River Band. Hey, and Pat, and obviously Purdue, IU on that Friday night.
I got to talk about last Friday night.
And
Wait,
and I don't know why.
Can we do the segment?
What segment?
Remember our segment from last year, which was called Heck, Say Something Nice About Purdue?
Yes. Yeah, and obviously Purdue ends up winning that game.
We wouldn't have done this if it would gone the other way, by the way.
Yeah, but Purdue at the end, and here's what I thought. I didn't see the whole game because I was working the game much like you
was
were.
too, yes.
But when I came back, and I don't know, I probably saw the last 3 minutes. That game could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people have been down on IU, but I thought IU defended well. I thought both teams played hard. Kaufman Wren hit the big jump hook to give him the lead, and then Miles Rice ends up taking what you might call a shot. I don't know.
I think it was a pass.
That's 2 games in a row he's done that, but that's probably the best 36 minutes IU's played in quite some time.
Quite a while, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a 40-minute game.
I thought it was great. I think Woody still deserves his lifetime contract.
Thank you. Purdue, okay, we're going to say something nice about Purdue too. Matt Painter can coach his brains out. His guys do. His guys do what he tells them to do. Braden Smith is just a tough ass guard. Just makes plays, makes a shot when he has to, and how do you not like Purdue at 9-2 in the league and 17?
And IU controlled the game from what I remember from the little bit I saw, and I'm looking at the statistics. Purdue is 3-point wise, they were 2 of 13.
Jeez.
Yeah, and still won. They won by taking the ball inside. They were 21 of 28 free throws. Purdue is 9 for 16. So you've got a 12-point discrepancy.
Who was 21 of 28? IU?
Purdue.
Oh, and then IU was 9 for 16.
9 for 16, 2 made jump shots.
Yeah. So talk to me, and I don't know, Scott. What happened to Renew? He only played 9 minutes. Is he coming back off that injury, or
He just got in foul trouble. Yeah, he was playing hackathon the entire game.
He must have been in foul trouble. He had 9 minutes.
Yeah, and you can't have one of your really good players play 9 minutes in a game like that. Mabaka was really good,
was
right?
really good, and Ballo was really good too. 21 had 25. And Baco, he's kind of been an invisible man here recently, but 25 points against Purdue, 10 of 17 shooting. Yeah.
And so here's, I kind of touched on this a little bit last week, but how does Anthony Leal, the Bloomington South kid, who couldn't crack a minute last year off the bench, and allegedly IU is the leader in NIL money in the offseason, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And how many minutes did he play? He plays 35
He plays
minutes.
35 minutes, but you went out and you spent all this money on NIL players, but now you've deemed that Anthony Leal is better than those guys, so he plays 36 minutes.
Tucker plays less than 10 minutes, and Langdon Halton plays 3 minutes. And Callaway plays 25.
And Good plays a lot.
Good played 30 plus. He only had 12 points. So
Trey Galloway hit some big shots there later in the second half, and I was happy that he did not have the ball on that last possession for IU, because I think he probably would have made it and they would have won.
Well, yeah, the possession before, or maybe 2 possessions before, when he took it to the lane, and everybody backed off of him, and all he did was shoot a little floater wide open in the lane.
Yeah, and on the other end, at Purdue, Scott, you mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Miles Colvin, is he in the doghouse with Purdue or what? Because he only played 10 minutes. I know you mentioned he's in a shooting slump, but
he's in a slump.
He was more of a complete player than just worrying about that he's 0 for 3 from 3-point range. But,
he can't throw. He couldn't hit the ocean if he fell out of a boat.
Well, Jakari Harris played 22 minutes, which I thought was
the 2 freshmen, Jakari Harris and C.J. Cox, have stepped up big time for him.
C.J. Cox is starting right now. He played 17 minutes. Braden Smith played all 40, by the way.
Yeah, and he would, because he's the heart and soul of that team.
24.7 assists.
And I think you and I talked about this, Pat, because Renew came in and Kaufman Wren came in and Renew came in at the same time.
I'll say the name we haven't mentioned yet is TKR.
Yeah, but they came in at the same time. And I know your comment was, if you look at the development of both of those players, Kaufman Wren has developed into a really, really good player.
And we knew he was good last year, but it was all hidden because Zach Edey was there getting all the points. But when Edey would go to the bench for a rest, Kaufman Wren was pretty darn good. And you put First in there with him and you could kind of look into the crystal ball a year ago and say, okay, that's the future right there for Purdue. And, Caleb First has started to come back. He was in a little bit in the doghouse here for 8 or 10 games, but he's been playing well too. He had 21 minutes. Now, he only scored 1 point the other night, I say that. But Kaufman-Renn, 23 points, 4 rebounds, but he was 10 of 13 from the floor. And, of course, all those were right there in the paint.
Yeah, he's got that little jump hook to his left shoulder.
That's Brandon Brantley right there.
Yeah, and that last jump hook, that was from 12 feet.
Yeah, that was
that's not a 3-footer.
That was a Jabbar sky hook almost.
Yeah. But so I want to ask you this question: is it because Renew has had injuries that his game has not developed the way Kaufman-Renn's has, or what?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think it has a lot to do with the people that they've put with him. Baco and Ballo are really, between the three of them, they're kind of equal partners right now. Kaufman-Renn does not have that. He is it. The only person he's really competing with would be First inside, and there's just the two of them. And very seldom do you see the two of them on the floor at the same time. And if you do, it's not for very long, where IU's going with really 3 bigs, and Renault's kind of the 3-man, if you think about it. He's playing a 3.
Yeah, their spacing. Their spacing gets so messed up at times because of Ballo and Renew and Mabako. And when you're going to play 3 bigs or even 2 bigs in today's game,
right?
The lanes get clogged up unless you're going to keep a big out high to set ball screens up top. And if you're going to play Ballo, then the only time you're going to get him the ball is on a roll.
Well, and see, they're depending on Miles Rice to break things down and get beside people and get gaps and create mismatches and 2-on-1s or whatever. And that's not happening very often right now. He's people are able to stay in front of him.
All right, so now you look at Purdue's next 3, and they're at Iowa. Iowa's 4-6 in the league. They host USC on the 7th. USC's 5-5. But then on the 11th, they have a tough game. They go to Michigan, and Dusty May's doing a phenomenal job in Michigan. Michigan 8-2 in the league, 16-5 overall. And we could have had Dusty May in Bloomington.
Yeah.
And Dusty May grew up.
You keep muting yourself whenever you do that. It's just you end up muting.
Which was a mile away from Bloomington, and Dusty May could have been there, but that's Purdue's next 3.
What are you talking about? Woody's doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you. Coming from a Purdue diehard, right?
Here comes my next editorial for 30 seconds. The USC game this coming week, Friday night again.
Yeah,
it's Fox. It's a Fox thing. Fox doesn't give a crap.
Friday night.
Fox has no clues to how
Friday night
basketball's in Indiana.
Friday night home game at Purdue.
Yeah, and then so IU at 5-6. IU's at Wisconsin tomorrow. Wisconsin 7-4. That's going to be a tough road matchup for the Hoosiers.
Yeah.
They host Michigan on the 8th. So I wonder how many tickets Dusty's going to have for his family in Eastern Green, man.
He'll have a lot because there'll be a lot available, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, let's just say.
Are they going to give out tickets at the Hall of Calls?
It's a home game.
They might.
IU needs at least split this week. Going to Wisconsin would be a tough call.
Yeah, but versus Michigan at Assembly Hall, yeah, maybe. But then their third game in this set is at Michigan State at 11-2.
Yeah, and see, they're 5-6 right now in the league. They're going to come out of this with if they can win 2, I think that's great. If they win 1, I think
They got to go 9-9 to get them and have a good run in the Big Ten.
I think if they win 1, they'll be fortunate to come out of the 6-8.
Yeah, they could come out of this 0-3, and you want to hear the Bluebirds coming out.
What's their conference record right now?
5-6.
5-6. They're in 10th place. 14-8 overall.
So, because you guys know the Big Ten changed it, right? Where only 14 of the 18 teams in the conference make the conference tournament now.
I think so. Yep. There's a lot of teams right there in that same area.
Hey, can I interrupt you real quick and just make since we're doing editorials, can we just appreciate how good Jason Benetti and Robbie Hummel are on the call? They are phenomenal.
they're
And like I love Gus Johnson and Jim Jackson, but Jason Benetti and Robbie Hummel are next level good. I think that's one of the all-time fumbles is ESPN letting Robbie Hummel go.
Yeah, I can't believe they did that, but he bounces back and he is really good. He's been there, he's done that, and Jason Benetti is anybody that used to broadcast for the White Sox and make it interesting,
Right.
is a pro, right?
Hey, they had one good year during the rebuild.
Speaking of fumbling something, let's shift to a different ballgame. How about Notre Dame down at Miami this week?
Miami.
We were so excited about Notre Dame's won 2 in a row, and
We talked about a three-peat.
They were going on the Florida Sling. They were getting ready to play Miami, and then they've got they're in Tallahassee. I think either tomorrow or Wednesday.
They're playing Florida State, and then Leonard Hamilton has announced his retirement from coaching.
Yeah, he's like 76.
75.
It's
Hey,
time.
75.
Is that effective immediately, or is he?
Excuse me.
Hey, do me a favor. Check your mic settings. Make sure you have the board on.
Yeah,
Sophia said you sound like you're in a tunnel.
we're all right here. What would I
On the
check?
on the StreamYard settings.
StreamYard. Okay, hang on.
Continue. We can still hear you, but
Hey,
Okay.
so I'm going to tell you about Notre Dame now, man. Tom Noy, the South sports writer,
that's much better.
He really doesn't. He really has a bad thing towards Notre Dame. His article today or yesterday was just brutal.
He tells it like it is.
Shrewsbury.
Unfortunately,
And,
he's a hometown newspaper guy, but he was ripping Shrewsbury and the team.
yeah, and in the final 3 minutes of that Miami Notre Dame game, that game was tied 59-59 with about 3 minutes left.
And they were up 11 at the half.
Yeah, and in the last 3 minutes, Notre Dame goes 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 3 from the charity stripe, and 2 turnovers.
Yeah. You can't win that way.
No, and you're playing a team, and so we've all had teams where we've all played games like this where the team was 0-10 or 0 forever, and you throw that out on game night. But
they hadn't won. Miami hadn't won a game since Larinaga had retired.
Yeah, but the reality of it is they weren't good.
No.
Right. Exactly.
And that's when you have to go down there.
They're still not good.
And take advantage of that, because now you're 5-5 in the league. You're at Florida State tomorrow. Florida State's 4-7. Maybe you get that one. Now you're 6-5. You host Virginia Tech on the 8th.
You hope to get that one.
Virginia Tech is 5-6. Now you're 7-5, and now you're relevant in the ACC.
Yeah,
Right.
they got to get back above 500.
Yeah.
You're right. But in reality, they were only down 4 with 11 seconds to go, and Elako gets fouled shooting a 3.
Yeah.
So he's going to the foul line with
Misses all 3.
11 seconds left and misses all 3 free throws.
Yeah, he's the shooter they brought in.
Yeah. And he's the one that fouled the guy that made the 3 in the last game we talked about. Was that North Carolina when they were they were up 4?
Yes.
And they had with a 4-point play. So again, late game situations, one of the things I noticed in the game was they were pretty good in the first half. Matter of fact, I think they were up 11. It was 36-25 at the half, and they were playing pretty good. You and I were doing our exercises and we're watching it, and I came home at halftime, and then all of a sudden they decided to start playing Carmelo ball. They were playing isolation ball the last 5 or 6 minutes. They're up 5 at the 8:30 mark, and suddenly they went isolation. They scored 2 baskets in the last 8.5 minutes. 2 baskets in the last 8.5.
Yeah, and I don't know.
You can't beat an 0-10 team that way.
You can't beat any team that way, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, and Marcus Burton goes for 17. Braden Shrewsbury goes for 14. Tay Davis goes for 11. And where are the guys you brought in from the portal?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my question.
Well,
but
you and I need to get back over to practice, because we went over there in preseason, and we were looking. We said, okay, where's the big men? Where's these bigs that are going to help?
Well,
and unfortunately, they're still a year away. From that, and you can't do that in college ball right now. Unfortunately,
you got some guys you're bringing into. I mean, your recruiting classes, but there's got to be a foundation in place, and you got to take care of business. So now you got to take care of business at Florida State, and get to 5-6, and then you got to beat Virginia Tech to get to 500 and have a chance to have some relevant high school hoops, man.
Hang on, can I ask you one real quick question? Sorry, Kenny.
Access.
Philosophically, I guess, what is the realistic expectation for Notre Dame basketball? Because they've been good in the past, but I don't know. Ben Hansborough's not walking back through the door anytime soon.
Well, so my realistic expectation is 500. I know you're playing big boy ball in the ACC conference. I understand that. 500. I mean, you got to take care of business at home and steal a couple on the road.
Split on the road, yeah.
And I don't know why in this day and age with NIL and stuff like that, you can't be a 500 team, right?
Got to be. Scott, why don't you let's get me my road team of the week from Fricks here.
Are we gonna do the high school?
And then we'll go to high school.
Okay.
Our next segment and our road team of the week are presented by Fricks Driving School, the best driving school in all of the world. If you're ready for formal driver's education or just need to take the Indiana driving exam, Fricks has you covered. You might even get to drive with Coach King. Visit fricksdrivered.com or call 574-256-0650.
Wow.
That was a great commercial. You got a game? Come on, man.
I'm talking.
Private Jen.
Saturday was a great day to watch some basketball. Big 12 stuff was just awesome. I watched K-State beat Iowa State. I watched Texas Tech beat Houston.
You got nothing else going on in your life.
I did. I had all three TVs going by the way.
Him in the man cave just down there on a Saturday afternoon.
Baylor's down 50.
You need a dog.
No, I don't.
Take for a walk.
I'm fine.
He has 3 grand dogs already.
Yeah, I guess.
He's got Leroy.
Baylor's down 100 points at halftime, come back and beat Kansas 81-70.
Wow.
So at 4:00 in the afternoon, my Fricks driving road team of the week was going to be Texas Tech for beating Houston in overtime. But then I went to the night game, and some guy named Calipari comes in from Arkansas.
Good for Johnny.
Comes back to UK to Rupp Arena, brings 3 of his players that transferred with him, and somehow Arkansas, who at the time was like 2-6, 2-7 in the conference, they beat Kentucky by 10.
Wow.
Good for Johnny.
So my road team of the week has got to be Arkansas right now. John Calipari coming back to Rupp and winning. His 3 players, Adu Thero had 21, Wagner had 17, Ivisic, I think that's his name.
Oh,
bless you.
Zavonimir Ivisic had 14. So now Arkansas is 2-6 in the conference.
Good job, Johnny C.
Here, I've got another.
Choice,
I would have had another nominee for you. It was going to be the basketball Bucks going to Illinois. They were up, I think, 11 at halftime, and then kind of crapped down their leg after Devin Royal had a good first half. But one last thing before we go, I want to ask you guys, because it brought up something in my mind that I'd been thinking about for a while. The extension of games late to where you start playing the foul game, and the last 2 minutes of a basketball game takes like a half hour because it's go down the floor, foul, free throws, go back down the other side, maybe shoot a shot, ball go, possession changes, foul, free throws, wash, rinse, repeat. How and oh my gosh, don't even get me started on out of bounds reviews.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's brutal to watch. And Ohio State was fouling down 10 with like 30 seconds left against Illinois, and I'm sitting there pulling my hair out.
Like going, why?
Yeah, why? Yeah. And what in your grand expertise and wizardry of basketball knowledge, how does college basketball fix its late game fouling issues?
I don't think you can.
It's not going to get fixed. I mean, that's just part of the strategies. Yeah. Before this new rule with the double bonus back, it used to be 1-and-1s. You hopefully only make 1 or something, then you go down and make a 2. You go 2 for 1. Well, now they're going
3 for 2.
Now they're going 3 for 2. Right. It's the same idea. If you notice, they're coming down, or they're trying to go a quick 2, but bottom line is they're hoping that they're going to miss a free throw. And then you go down and
3 for 1,
and somehow,
I've seen it. I mean, I've seen And
I understand
and
what
I
you're
get
saying.
exactly what
Right.
you're saying, Scott, but I've seen it happen where a team down 11 with a minute left has come back and played that foul game. And if that team who was fouling is good and they are well prepared, they know who they're fouling.
Well,
Right.
They know who they're fouling.
And to your point, that Texas Tech game took 3 hours. It took so long that the Notre Dame game that was supposed to be on right afterwards was clear to halftime by the time they got to Notre Dame.
Right.
Notre Dame game was over on like ESPN News or or something, and the Texas Tech game lasted 3 hours, not two,
Like
3.
Well, like the Ohio State Illinois game was on CBS yesterday,
Yeah,
and it cut into the AT&T.
cut into Pebble Beach.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
by about
I know
20
everybody
minutes to a half hour.
yeah, so I'm sure CBS wasn't exactly too happy about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
Did you guys ever watch TBT during the summer, the basketball tournament where they take like the alumni teams?
Yeah, right.
My suggestion has always been to just go to the Elam ending, where it's like, okay, first team to this score wins. The time they turn the clock off.
Yeah, so if there's an overtime at 70, it's the first team to 80 or something.
Yeah, Dr. Naismith would really agree with that, man. Come on.
Hey, right now the new.
Well, he's dead.
Right now you got Auburn's number 1, Duke's number 2, Alabama's 3, Tennessee's 4 right now. So
And Purdue is 7.
Purdue's 7 and Michigan State's 9. So that's your new stuff. All right, we got 5 minutes to talk about high school.
Well, I saw Washington,
Real quick.
heralded Washington 11-2 go into Mishawaka-Marion at 10-6, and Mishawaka-Marion playing the 2-3 zone. Southern Washington had no idea how to attack the 2-3 zone.
No, they don't.
And Reynolds did not play well. He hunted shots and didn't make shots. And so Marion beats South Bend Washington. Washington's got 2 losses now, and then I see Marion's got 1.
And then the next night.
And then, but I could have predicted that because Crown Point's coming to now the game's at the Great Western Forum, okay?
Undefeated Crown Point, ranked number 2 in the state.
And Crown Point is going to play man-to-man.
Sure they are.
And so when Washington players are allowed to shake and bake and run isolation, and Dakari Parker had 2 fouls early against Marion and had to sit a lot. When he's allowed to get in the lane and when Reynolds is allowed to play against man-to-man defense, it's a different story. I don't know why anybody would ever man Washington High School.
Travis Hanna was a man-to-man guy. The only time probably in his career when he played zone was when he played against Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he won.
I mean, I'm looking to cut some people through. I'm looking for some kind of.
They're content. They're going to stand out there 4 out, 1 in, and launch threes, and then
try and attack the gaps and take bad shots.
Yep. So Washington beats Crown Point 68-64 on Saturday night. So right now, Penn's 11-7, but they're 4-0 in the conference.
Yeah, and
they may get. I don't see anybody can beat them right now.
I think they got to play Marion yet.
Penn's got to play Marion yet. They've.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the only one really left.
Okay, Thursday. And high school games are Thursday this week because of girls sectional. Marion at Penn.
Right.
Yeah,
they're down 10 points right now. They haven't got off the bus.
Well, if the game was at Marion, it would be a little different story. Now, I did the Penn Northridge game, and I saw Northridge beat Penn, and I am going
beat him convincing.
I am going to tell you straight up. The Scholl kid, Brady Scholl, the 6'7" kid for Northridge, is the real deal, as he had 21 points, maybe 7 or 8 blocks, 11 rebounds. And I'm going to tell you this much, too. The Kuhlman kid for Penn is a straight-up baller.
He's the real deal, Heck.
For a freshman.
He's the real deal, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you who he reminds me of, and I know you remember. Chris Kramer, when Chris Kramer played for Huntington North.
Okay.
And his career at Purdue, to me, he is a carbon copy of
interesting
Chris Kramer.
Interesting.
Size 6'4", can shoot it, is athletic, has a great feel. And so it's kind of like Scott, brought up in the gym, right?
Right.
Brought up in the gym.
Sure.
Might have been born in the laundry room. Who knows?
You never know.
Ben Kuhlman might have been born in the laundry room. But this boy is a flat-out player.
Yep. Well, and Thursday night, Riley's at Washington. That'll be a fun one. Now, here's a game I saw. Saturday, all the boys' games are being played in the afternoon. Jeffersonville's coming north.
I was supposed to do that game, and I thought that game was at night and I got to go to Chi for a doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset because I wanted to see that
so
game.
you people locally, if you're interested, Jeffersonville is very, very good. Sharon Wilkerson's the coach.
Yeah.
They play at Mishawaka Marion. It's a 1:30 start. Now, I don't know if that's a 1:30 varsity or a 12 noon JV or what. So we'll look into that and maybe check the papers and stuff as the week progresses. But Jeffersonville's top 10 right now, them coming up here to Mishawaka to play.
That's a long haul.
Saturday afternoon. So that'll be a fun one.
Yeah, that's
Really
a
long
game.
trip.
And that's a game to, hey, let's play against the zone and see if we can get ready for the sectional zone.
Exactly. Northern Lakes, Warsaw still the team to beat right now. Northwood's very, very good too. And the good thing is one's a 4A teams, one's a 3A team.
Yeah, Northwood, and I believe, is Northwood and Northridge in the same sectional?
No.
Because Northridge is
Northridge
really
is at
good,
Elkhart.
too.
Northridge and Warsaw are in the same sectional. So, and this week they've got the games they've got. Really, I don't see anything. I wouldn't go to any of those.
Yeah, Concord at Northwood, Goshen at Plymouth, and Mishawaka at Warsaw. I'm doing that game, so I have to.
So you're going to Warsaw on Thursday night?
Yep, and Northridge at Wawasee.
Okay, all right.
I think we should all accept the fact, though, that in 4A everybody is playing for second place to the my beloved Fishers Tigers.
You're going to find out this week. Thursday night, number 1 plays number 4. Fishers plays Westfield.
Oh, we should have had Shane Sumter on the show.
How's that?
Shane was my assistant coach.
Let's do that maybe next Monday.
Monday night.
About that.
Yes.
And the other thing, Scott, Fishers goes to O'Fallon, Illinois, which is right outside St. Louis. They play Peoria Manual on Saturday afternoon.
Wow.
So they'll get a chance to go see how good some of the other teams are.
Yeah, those two guards at Fisher, Zachary and Gardner, they have genetics like you can't believe, and they're just they're sophomores.
Yeah,
and they're really, really good.
Crown Point's number 2. They got their first loss, so they may not be number 2 tomorrow morning, but they play at Portage. That'll be a big game. Those are the 2 best teams in the Duneland. Greenfield's very, very good this year. They play Delta on Thursday night.
They have a dude going to UConn.
They do.
I wonder if Mullins, so didn't you pick the ass of the week to be Danny Hurley?
No, Bobby Hurley.
Bobby Hurley.
Yeah, Bobby Hurley.
I wonder if Mullins has any second thoughts.
He's going to Arizona
Wrong
State.
school.
Some of that stuff. Yeah, that's Arizona State.
Oh,
Hurley.
okay.
Not the UConn Hurley.
Okay.
I mean, it's easy to get the Hurley brothers confused because they both whine a lot.
And our Anderson Indians are ranked 5th. They go to Richmond. So.
How about we get Anderson? How about we get Donnie Bowling, the head coach at Anderson, at 15-1? They got the stuff rolling a little bit again.
Well, they had a nice one. They beat Lawrence Central this past week.
Yeah, Lawrence Central coached by Phil Washington, another Anderson guy.
One of our guys up here, one of the guys we coached with, Drew Schaus, when he was over at Holy Cross with me and also at Bethel. Mm-hmm. He's down at Avon, and he's got those guys 15-2, and they've been beating people. So
yeah, Avon just beat Westfield.
Yes, yeah, that was a big win for him.
Anderson put 100 on Alexandria. That should
be
a
good
crime
for them.
in Madison County.
I'm not surprised.
For them. Your mother-in-law's probably pissed.
Yeah, I couldn't mention that because
poor grandma.
Unfortunately, people in Alexandria just do not like Anderson. They will go shop in Muncie.
Before they go to Anderson?
Before they go to Anderson.
We don't like them. We don't like them anyway.
They go over to
That's
Muncie
like Woody
shop.
Hayes. Woody Hayes let his car run out of gas one time because he refused to buy gas in Michigan on a recruiting trip.
That's true.
All right, now
was that the time that he punched the attendant?
That was.
Oh no, he punched a player. My bad.
Yeah, that was the clumsy guy. That ended his career, but Kirby Smart did it this year, and nothing happened.
Guys at Wapahani play Cowan and Union Modoc this week.
Yeah, they'll get a couple, man.
All right, so Kenny's got some high school news.
Yeah, first of all, we're gonna promote the sectional broadcast. We'll be doing. Yes. We will be the exclusive ones broadcasting the entire LaPorte girls basketball sectional starting tomorrow night.
And that matters. Why?
Because girls sectionals this week. Big game on Wednesday night between Washington and Penn.
Yes,
that will determine the sectional.
That's the issue for seeding right there.
Yeah,
that should be Saturday night.
That should be. And while we're, like I said, join John and myself and Pat and Drew, we'll all be at LaPorte High School broadcasting all the games this week. And,
okay.
One other thing we need to break. Breaking news that came across today. Thank you.
And why does this matter in the scope of all sports?
Because Kenny's here and it's New Prairie.
And he's the mayor of New Prairie. My bad. Go ahead.
Yes.
New Carlisle.
This is Well, you know how we all like to talk about big non-conference games, networks try to line them up and stuff. Well, broadcast sport didn't have anything to do with this, but come next year, week 2, the home opener at AMC Miller Field, the Northwood Panthers have agreed to play New Prairie next year in a home and home. They'll play that week 2 out in New Carlisle, and of course, Pat and I will have the game on broadcastsport.net.
The Dixie Dog
pregame show. That's right.
And I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to Fairfield.
For what?
Girls basketball.
Why?
Because I love basketball. Tuesday I'm at Fairfield. Wednesday I'm at
LaPorte with us.
Thursday driver's ed. Friday, Saturday I'm back at.
And I ask again, why?
Where are you going this week?
Wednesday I'm doing a doubleheader at Holy Cross. You're not going to be a double at Holy Cross Wednesday?
I won't be there. I'll be there Saturday, but I'll be there Wednesday.
Wednesday I'm at Holy Cross, and Thursday I'm at Warsaw.
Okay.
All right. Hey, what a great show. Kenny was great. Kenny Valdissari was amazing. That segment was great. We talked NBA, talked a little college football. So
we've covered
the world.
But we did not cover the Super Bowl. But that's been covered by everybody
else
anyway.
No one cares.
Yeah. But I'll tell you who does care about Sunday.
Do you know what I'm going to do?
No,
I hope they both lose.
I'm going to pick the Eagles.
Nope. Pitchers and catchers. Chicago Cubs.
That's right.
I'm going to pick the Eagles just because everybody else likes Kansas City.
Watch out for the next World Series champion Texas Rangers with Jake Berger playing first base.
I saw that, man.
And on that note,
playing first base. Bring back Mitch Moreland. Hey, listen, Scott, you're the best, man. Thank you for taking your time tonight to produce this fantastic show. Kenny Peterson, Mayor of New Carlisle, thank you so much.
As always.
Pat King, our Fairfield Falcon.
Is that what they're called? I got to find it. I don't know if I've ever been to
They're
Fairfield.
Falcon, man.
Yes.
You're Falcon. And
right on Highway 33.
Yours truly, Ron Eklinski. Adios. You guys are the best, man.
And with that, we will see everybody next week. Again, thank you to all of the people that support us. And till next week, same time, same place at the famous linebacker at Notre Dame. Peace out.